Welcome to the Old Fat Coach Podcast, featuring Russell Stutely, world leader pressure point fighting, national boxing coach, Cambodia, prepared to get not only your martial arts boxing world rocked, but your whole world too.
Right, I am joined by my old mucker, Pete, as we used to call him, Powerhouse Holmes. Peter, how are you?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Now, for those who don't know, me and Pete go back years and years and years, 20 odd years, I'm not sure, 25, 26 years, something like that, Pete. And
yeah, it's got to be, mate. Too long to remember.
Yeah, we're getting too old for it all now. And Peter was the first guy trained with me right the way through to DSI Instructor status. Well known with everybody. You were did you come second in the world championships in your TSD days? Yeah, things like that. I mean, very well known, very well respected martial artist, hyper strong, Mr. Punch as well, we used to call him. The white pants that we use for training, the amount of those that me and Pete have put holes in over the years, it's ridiculous. They didn't last too long. So that's just for those who don't know, that's what Pete's done. And we haven't seen each other for a while. So what have you been up to, Pete? What's been going on?
Oh, a bit of the same old, mate. It's trying to get through this COVID thing and all of that. But yeah, I've got my close protection ticket now and sort of bodyguarding stuff and working on that, playing about, trying to get through the DSI, just still doing bits, still training, got a full-time martial arts centre now. Just really trying to keep going.
Trying to keep stuff going during these weird times.
Oh, mate, it's driving me nuts.
I can imagine. So your centre, that's in Peterborough, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Immortal 365, as you can see by which side of it, that side. So you got, we do sort of bit of all sorts really. So we've got Taekwondo, which is the main base, which is my mate Steve Lloyd. So he's sort of genuine sixth dan in Taekwondo. So so we've got that. We've got MMA coach is Jordan Vachenik, who's Cage Warriors world champion now. So he's got he's got another. Well, he's just done the 5 fights to get through. He just won it about 2 weeks ago. He won the world title in Cage Warriors. Next step, I think he's got to do a rematch with the guy that he beat. And then I don't know whether it's Paul Hughes he's got to do a fight against. But then his next step is UFC. So and then we got the Lightning Harness, so one of the top stick instructors in the UK. Steve, who I'm in with, doing the gym with. His missus has got a full PT thing. She's going to PT and body pump and body combat. Yeah, we do loads. We've got Muay Thai and loads of kids stuff. Just a general sort of school. You know what I mean?
So martial arts centre for everyone. So anybody in the Peterborough area, get in touch with Immortal 365 and get yourself trained, I suppose. That's it.
Oh, 100%.
And tell Pete you heard him on the podcast. That'll make him feel better.
Yeah, that's it.
So what's happening with all this bodyguard training then?
Well, I started really sort of wanting to challenge myself and do some stuff, and I got mates. I got sort of friendly with a few guys. One of them, he does close protection still. He's ex-military, does close protection still now. But he does more of the sand, bit of the stuff sort of Eddie used to do. In fact, he, if you met him, you'd remind you of Eddie. The same sort of mentality, the same sort of thing. So, and then another one of my mates as well. He's he's close protection, does the stuff. So I thought, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I'll give it a go. It sounded a good thing. Got all my tickets, got all the stuff, and then this poxy COVID thing come in. So I've got the detail. I've got the option to work detail with Boris Johnson's detail, like one of my first gigs. And then COVID come in, and I was like, oh, I can't fly. I can't get over there. So,
that's a real shame, because you could have deliberately messed it up and we could have got rid of Boris.
Well, there is that, I suppose. But yeah, so it's just really just bits and pieces. Just going, and the whole thing has sort of stemmed from doing the DSI, doing our training in Oakham and that side of it. But what it's actually done is give me a really good insight into martial arts in general. Because, you know what I mean, people who do martial arts have got to decide which way they are. You're either real or you're an art. You know what I mean? And it is, you've got in the UK, you've got one of the guys who's real, is Dave Hydra. He's real. I mean, he trains real hard school. He's been there, seen it, done it. I mean, for real in London, in the gangs in London and that side of it, real. But then you've got the general martial artists that go, oh yeah, I'm doing it for real. And you see what they're doing and you're going, mate, my mate in Iraq's doing it for real. That's real. What you're doing is not real. You need to get rid of the ego and just go, why am I doing it? And the thing is, doing it for real, there is a time limit on how long you can do it for real. And then you've got to think, what am I doing after that? Once it's become...
That's why you don't get 70-year-old people doing cage fights and winning world boxing championships. There's a limit to how long you can keep combat going ready, and there's a limit to how long you can keep the speed and agility and everything else going. Some people can keep it going longer than others, of course, but there is a limit, and eventually we all get old, hopefully, anyway.
Well, that's it.
But the problem with martial arts, and I've said this quite a few times, is that there's no way of giving a measure unless you get in the ring or on the mat and prove it. Because like with weights, if you said to me you're really good at bench press, or if I said to you I'm really good at bench press and you said to me how much do I bench, and I said 60 pounds, you go, I'm not very good at bench press. Right? It's pretty obvious, right? But if I said, well, actually I can bench like 150 kilos, you go, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But with martial arts, unless you actually get in the ring or on the mat and prove it, there's no measure. You know, no. If you said you was a 100-meter sprinter and sort of what's your best time, you said 35 seconds, you go, you're not much of a sprinter, mate. Right? It's measured, you can measure it, but martial arts is so difficult. I'm a 6 Dan, get on the mat.
It is as well. And the other thing as well that people don't realise or think of, and this is the bit with me with where the DSI comes in, and this is the bit that people don't sort of realise as well with the DSI. The DSI is martial science, as you know. It's not pressure points. It's martial science. So it's taking all different bits and playing with them, stripping them to bits, experimenting, and making something work. And like you've always said, right from the beginning, they're a player, they're an add-on. If you can't earn the right to use them, you can't use them. You've got to earn the right.
And that's what all of our training was about, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this is it. It's getting down, going, having a go, and seeing if you can put the stuff in while you're doing.
For those who don't know, when we were training back in the day, we were training week in, week out, sometimes 20 hours a week, Pete, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With monsters. I mean, it wasn't just, we weren't standing around prodding each other saying, oh, does that hurt? Does that hurt? Going, with points. We had the likes of Eddie, Big Paul, you obviously, right? Cheap Shot Jez, Bruno, yeah, who was strong as an ox as well, wasn't he? Like, well, they all were. They all were. I mean, but height-wise, Jez was the smallest, but actually size-wise, I was the smallest, and I'm 6 foot. And you know, people don't realise just how, you know, people back then were talking about us thinking, oh, they're just them pressure point, like who just stand around going, and we had Errol as well, right? Yeah. Let's not forget that. The amount of hard training we were doing each week just made everybody else look like nothing. And we were happy to just go, we just prod each other. Whatever.
The thing is, the bit that with me was the fact that when through Rick, Tom, especially, and the DSI, when we were doing stuff, nobody had heard of it. Nobody had heard of martial science. Nobody had heard of points. And it was doing stuff that, one, nobody else had done. And because nobody else had done it, there was nobody to show us how to do it.
Yeah.
Wait, shut up, dog. There was nobody to show us, oh, you're doing this wrong. So for us, it was brilliant, because the only way to know it was wrong or it was right, it either really hurt or it didn't.
Well, you either really hurt the other person or they hurt you because you did it wrong.
That's right. That's it. And that's the thing. You know what I mean? I can remember, the bruises that we used to get. And the first time that we did Steel Wrapped in Cotton with Eddie, and he goes to me, he says, oh, yeah, come here. Grabbed hold of me, punched me in the jaw. And he went, what was that like? I was like, and then he goes, what about this? It's still wrapped in cotton. And he did it like loosened his hand and went, boom. I was like, oh, man's going to blow up. But that was it. It was like, you know what I mean? You didn't have any choice. It was just, oh, yeah, come here. Grab. Boom.
I remember one when he brought in a new protective helmet, and it had a steel rim around the jaw and padded, steel rim around the jaw to protect your jaw. He said to me, "Yeah, Russ, try that on." I said, "Look, you're not going to smack it when are you?" Like doping me. He goes, "No, it'll be all right, mate." So I put it on. He just got whack, smack straight in the jaw. It's knocked me down. Big Paul was there, and as I'm on the floor, I'm sort of like laying sideways. He's hit it that hard. The head guard's shriveled round a bit, so I've only got one eye. You can see out, and I just see his leg coming towards me. I tried to kick him in spleen 6, and Eddie knew I would do it. And he said afterwards, he goes, "I knew you'd do something sneaky on spleen 6." So he's moved his leg and he stomped on the head. And Paul's there, and I said, "Oh, hold on a minute, I can't see." And Paul's going, "Oh, well, we better get him up." So then we couldn't get the helmet off. So we had that Big Paul basically stood on the head as Eddie's pulling on the rim of this crash out thing to move the metal thing out of the way and then take it off. He goes, "Was it all right, mate?" I'm like, yeah, not too bad. That's the kind of thing that we did, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But how many people can say stuff like that when they're getting older and be laughing about it? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this to me is where, with having the martial arts school, with all doing all the bits, is the fact that I feel really sorry for martial artists nowadays, because they haven't got that. They haven't got that experience that we had growing up, going through the thing, trying it hard, going through the stuff. Because of all this snowflake bullshit that's going about now, it's, you know what I mean? You're not allowed to do stuff. So it's been bred out of people to do. We never used to complain. We used to just laugh it off and get on. Now, if something, they don't like it, they complain straight away, instant.
How many times when we were training, if somebody was half conscious or unconscious, we used to just literally drag them off the floor to the one side and carry them back when you're ready.
That's it. Or if you knocked them out hard, you'd have to do the revive them. bring them back round and get the energy flowing again and doing it.
But, you're right, yeah.
Well, this is
in the end with Eddie. We decided not to bother. Just leave it.
Yeah, but this was it. That was the beauty of everything. It was just so. Everybody knew what it was. The only drawback with it is the fact that we only had the same people to train with because nobody else. They'd come down for one and go. We had that guy that come over from Russia doing the Systema. He lasted. Yeah. He come round on a tour doing his brushing the hair stuff, and you're like, it don't last. He didn't like that.
When he said to me, remember we went to the weights part of the gym, and he said to me, "Punch me in the face as hard as you can, and I'll get out of the way of it." I said, "Well, I don't want to do that, mate." I said, "How about I punch you slowly?" He goes, "No, you can punch me as hard and as fast as you want." I said, "Why don't I do it slow first? You show me what you do." And when he showed that thing going like that with it, and then no, and then he wanted to grapple you, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It didn't work very well. He soon walked out the gym.
He almost had a broken back, didn't he? Because you bent in the wrong way.
Yeah, but the thing is, we were being nice. That's the bit. You know what I mean? If you were being nasty to them, you could sort of go. You could understand. You know what I mean? I'm going out in an arse, but there was no malice in anything we did or do. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But this is the thing. The other bit going on with the martial science, the bit that I like about it, that I really like, as I'm getting older, there's little bits that I've shown people. Do you know Pete Modridge?
I don't know.
Sci-Fu Pete. He's directly under Samuel Kwok. He's military and been there, seen it, done it. Some of the stuff that he's done, mate, is insane. But he is such a nice bloke. He's like one of the top ones of Wing Chun in the UK.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've known him for a long time now. But anyway, I went down. I thought, I'll have a go at the Wing Chun. So we're doing some of the stuff. I can't, because most of it's sort of the pattern based, isn't it? With the Wing Chun, it's like learn the patterns to learn the moves. But I did a seminar for him, and I've done seminars with him and for him and all this. And one of the things he said to me, he said, "Look, you need to learn the basics of Wing Chun." And I went, "Why?" He said, "Because what you know are what the masters know and not telling you or telling us." So he said, "You're already a master in Wing Chun without knowing Wing Chun." Yeah. And you're like, well, you know what I mean? And it is that side of it that you look at. So if you do a basic martial art, as you're getting older, you can still study. You can still look. You can still go through it. And then you look at it and go, well, that's why the Japanese, the Chinese, the Thai, the whoever are that good, because I can see that now. They're putting vibration into what they're doing as they're doing. They're putting intent into what they're doing. They're breathing into it and using that mind, breath, body. They're doing all the different players that we just take for granted, really, now, to make them become a master or grandmaster above everybody else.
But here's the thing, though, Pete. When I've seen all this, my take on it, traveling around and everything, was that they might know, let's just say 15, 20 players. And this other the top guy might know 15, 20 players, but they don't know each other's players. And they're not using them all on every technique. They're using one or two on that one or two on that one, but they're not thinking, even them aren't thinking about how they could use other players and all those other players on everything that they do.
Yeah.
That's what I've found. I don't know about you, but
no, definitely. That's one of the biggest things. But that's sort of the bit that I like with the DSI, because what they do, they give you the information and then let you play, and you run with it as far as you want, and the stuff is there. But as I say, the good thing, I think, I mean, and I'm pretty biased, to be fair, about the DSI, but you think at martial arts, as you're getting older, to me, every martial artist should want to join someone like the DSI for that bit of further thinking.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, you see. We were all told when we first start that martial arts is a lifetime study, right?
Yeah.
And if you did karate, tang soo do, taekwondo, whatever, you got anywhere from 12 to 20 odd katas, patterns, forms, whatever you want to call them. That's not a lifetime study.
No.
You can get a good dancer in, and I've proved it, right? Who learn the katas in a weekend and perform them aesthetically just as good as any top-ranked karateka or taekwondo person. They're just good. They've got all the balance and move. You know, ballet dancer ain't gonna have any problem doing high kicks and spinning kicks, all that sort of jazz. They can perform them. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. To them, it's just a routine. But aesthetically, it will look just as good as anybody, and they're probably pass the Dan grade because it's superficial knowledge. They've got, you know, a wide lot of knowledge, but it's only very narrow, very thin. They've got no depth of knowledge. Whereas when you're talking about martial science, now, DSI stuff, what we've done for years and years, it's talking about a depth of knowledge, truly understanding what you're doing and what other people are doing, truly understanding how the body works and why.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's a lifetime study.
And that's it. And that's the whole thing. And it's, the thing is as well, it's something that you can sit there of an evening. You can go through a video. You can look. Once you get to a level, you can start looking. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, as I say, with the close protection side, that was one of the things that sort of opened my eyes. And it goes back to the DSI side as well. I mean, I'm looking at all of the stuff, and you know yourself. I mean, we've done stuff where people are coming, oh, I can do self-defense. And you go, well, all right then, how does it start? I mean, most of the systems that renowned and go, oh yeah, self-defense, they go, it's Krav Maga, right? They look at Krav and they go, that's the ultimate self-defense. Right, where does it start? Someone throws a punch, you defend against it, and you go, hang on a minute, and that fight defense.
Yeah.
And you're only as good if you can fight. I mean, there's two people in the world. There's people that can fight and people that can't. That's it. There's a minute population of the people on the planet that can fight. The other ones can't. They can pretend they can do it, or they can do it. Hence your reason you get world champions. I mean, otherwise, we'd all train and we'd all be world champions. You can't, because that tiny percentage, like as I say, like with Jordan Vichenik, I mean, he's a fighter. He trains phenomenally hard, but he is a natural fighter. He thinks, he can see, reacts, fighting. Most people just go, and freeze.
I've seen it hundreds of times just doing boxing. People who reckon they can fight, experts in this, that, and the other. You're like, well, and then people are going, but boxing is different. Well, no, right. You go and hit however you want, whenever you want. I'll just box, and then you find out that, well, they find out that they can't actually fight, and some people find out that they can fight who didn't think they could.
That's right. And it's how they react. I mean, one of the biggest examples as well is, if you, I don't know if you can remember now, I can't even remember the bloke's name, but there was Lennox Lewis when, David Hay, when he lost his belt, didn't he? Because of him fighting in the crowd. Do you remember at the weigh-in?
He smacked Chisora one in the chops at the weigh-in.
That's it. And then they started rolling in the like with all the reporters in the alleyway, in the alley of.
That was Lewis and Tyson fighting in the on the stage when Tyson bit him on the leg?
Oh no! This was when David Haye lost his ticket so that he could fight.
Oh right. Yeah. Oh, the Fedora thing, yeah.
Yeah, and what happened? If you watch that again, what happened was they've both been fighting since they were like 5-6 years old or whatever. And when you're boxing, you've got half a dozen shots, and you train them shots all the way through, right? And put body movement into it and all this. So they haven't got a lot to remember, right? Once they're out of their comfort zone and it become no gloves on, one of them gets punched in the face, they start rolling, they start windmilling, and they're doing this. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? But that proves you revert back to nature. If things go to shit, and as I say, they should have been straight up standing there. Pow, 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 pow. No, they're doing this. And you're like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And that sort of proves, as soon as they've gone from being a fighter in boxing, as soon as it becomes something different to what they're used to, they couldn't handle it. It didn't work. And this is the thing.
When people get taken out of what they do, out of their comfort zone and stuff like that, it happens so many times. And you see people try to go back into a comfort zone. You see it in combat sports a lot. And you see people being real dumb with it as well, where they go out of their comfort zone because they think it's the right thing to do. You see so many times in things like UFC, MMA fights, somebody's winning stand-up, they give somebody a dig, knock them down, and then they start grappling on the floor with them. You go, hold on, you moron. You're smashing crap out the guy stood up, so you decide to grapple with him on the floor, let him get his head clear again. Why don't you just let him make him stand up and smack him again?
Yeah.
And so you see it the other way around as well. So but it comes back to, and I mean this in the nicest possible way because I work with fighters all the time and I'm boxing coach. They're not the brightest people half the time when it comes to things like that. So that's why they need a good coach in the corner telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing each round. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And 9 times out of 10, you look at the coach, and the reason they're a good coach is because they haven't had that many fights and been punched in the head that many times. But
they might have a brain cell left.
But they think outside the box.
Yeah, and it's about seeing what's going on, isn't it? And understanding the situation. A bit like your close protection stuff. You've got to be aware of all your surroundings, seeing what's going on, and assess the situation very, very quickly and come up with an answer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's what it's all about. It's the whole thing is about that. It's like I see a lot of people that go, oh, I do self-defense. And you go, right, okay, and what do you teach them? So they go, oh, the arm bar. Have you tried an arm bar for real? When someone's struggling, have you tried an arm bar for real? I've got more strength than you've got. I cannot put an arm bar on for real on someone who is half my size, let alone someone. It is undoubtedly one of the hardest things to do is to go, I'm going to put an arm bar on. And to make it work effectively, it's just insane. And so there was a system that was about a little while ago called the Mantis System. It was teaching kids self-defense. They were teaching arm bars in it. They were it was honestly, mate, it was hideous. It was absolutely hideous, but it was dangerous. And this is the thing: what people have got to remember: if they teach someone self-defense, right? Are they teaching them self-defense or are they teaching them fight defense? So you're going to teach someone, right? You're going to a self-defense, teach someone ladies self-defense, right? And you go, right, we're going to teach you self-defense now. We're going to teach you how to punch. Have you punched before? No. Right. Okay. Right. We'll do that for the next 15 years and then we'll move on. Right.
See, I've always said, if you're going to teach ladies self-defense is like a 1-day course or a 2-day course or an hour a week for 6 weeks or whatever it is, that kind of course. And they come away from that course thinking they can defend themselves or fight. You haven't taught properly and you're an idiot. They should come out of that course with 10 times the avoidance and awareness skills that they had before, and absolutely know that they should be aware of their surroundings without being paranoid, of course, but aware of their surroundings, how to park their car, where they should be, what they should look for, which way down the street to walk, and all the other safety concerns that they should have and should be using. That's what the self-defense is all about. It's not about fighting. No. Fighting is completely different. Fighting is when all your self-defense skills have failed.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, I had a typical thing the other week. I had a Zoom meeting with a guy who owns a close protection company. Lovely bloke, absolute lovely bloke. Been there, seen it, done it. You know what I mean? But old school guy. So anyway, we was chatting to him. I was chatting and I said, look, the stuff that we're doing, I said, how does your self-defense? I said, let's look at it like this. And this is the thing that a lot of these people that do not so much close protection, but self-defense and all that, have got to take it back. And you go, right, where's your starting point for self-defense? Where is it? I mean, ours is different because with the DSI, it gets you thinking outside the box. So you start at the basic moves. You start using the Cooper color code. You start doing peripheral vision. You start, you know what I mean? You start because they're the players that we played about with. But you go, right, where do you start? Do you start someone's coming and throwing a punch in? And you go, okay, then what do you do? Oh, you block this and block that. You do this, and then once it's got to that point, it's too late. If you're a female, it is too late.
Or if you're a weaker, smaller male, if you can't fight, it's too late. Or if you're a little bit drunk, it's too late. And if you don't see it coming, it's too late.
And this is it. And with this guy, I said to him, right, I said, okay, let's take it back. I said, you've got a principal that is high celebrity. Let's go, for instance, it could be anybody. It could be the Queen. It could be one of the top celebrities, female celebrities. You get Kylie Minogue. She's about half a stone soaking wet. You know what I mean? Tiny little itty bitty people, right? And you go, someone grabs them, and you go, right, okay, then how would you deal with that? It's your principal. You're on the right hand side because if you're right-handed working close protection, you're on the right hand side, slightly back on the right hand side. So you go, well, okay, then, right, someone's got away from you. It's all gone to shit. It shouldn't have got to that point, but it has. Someone's grabbed your principal. How do you get them off? Right, tell me how you get them off. Right? And he went, I don't know. I said, right. I said, you've been taught doing a system of whether it be crab, whether it be karate, whether it be whatever. They're all the same. The only difference is intent. There's no difference in moves. Our arms can only move so many ways. Our legs can only move so many ways. We only move so many ways. If you're doing a system that doesn't move or moves in a way that nobody else has moved, I mean, there is no such thing. There is no such thing. So it doesn't matter whether you're learning crab, whether you're learning karate, whether you're learning any of them, they're all the same. So you go, well, what happens then? Someone's grabbed there. How do you get them off? You're the wrong side to put an arm bar on because, So do you punch them in the face? What's your options? Don't forget, you're on camera because there is cameras everywhere, especially if it's high celebrity. So you go, okay, then what do you do? Tell me what you do. Now start thinking, what do you do? This is aimed at everybody out there that does martial arts, that does close protection, that does think differently. What do you do? I'm not going to tell you what I would do because, you know what I mean? That's spoiler.
That's why they book you.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But yeah, so you go, how do you get them off? Do you punch them in the face? And you go, well, okay, then let's punch them in the face. That'll release that arm. Fair enough. That'll knock the person on the floor. Now they're flapping about on the
that arm if you hit them hard enough. And how do you know you've hit them hard enough? How do you know they haven't got a jaw of granite? How do you know they've got a jaw like Ray Mercer or somebody like that? How hard do you have to hit? And then you go, well, I can't take the risk of it and not hard enough because I'll have to hit as hard as I can. Okay. How do you know the health of that person?
That's exactly it. How do you know they haven't got mental illnesses? How do you know they've not got autism? They've not got some problem that they don't understand what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't mean to do anything. Now they're flapping about on the floor.
How do you know they haven't suffered a horrific brain injury and one more big hit could kill them?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
How do you know that they haven't got, a blocked up artery and the sudden shock of that could release some plaque and they get an aneurysm in the brain?
And this is it. And this is the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the whole thing with what you do. Whereas the DSI stuff and the martial science gives you little bits and more strings to your bow so you can add in and gets you to think outside the box. Because one of the biggest things, if you do a self-defense course, if you don't mention 2 words in it, then it's bullshit. You're not doing it right. And those 2 words are necessary and proportionate. Right? I'll give that out there, right? For free. Necessary and proportionate. And that is, in the eyes of the law, right? Whether you're close protection, whether you're doorman, whether you're Joe Bloggs coming out the pub, it doesn't matter who it is. Someone breaks into your house. It doesn't matter. Those 2 words are the most important things, 2 words in law, in self-defense in this country, right? Necessary and proportionate, right?
Can I just add to that, Pete?
Yep.
Also, the most important thing, if you feel what you've done is necessary and proportionate, that you are very, very careful how you explain what you've done. You never, ever lie, ever. No. Because you will come unstuck badly. But you must seek legal advice. Do not say a word until you fully understand from your lawyer or solicitor, whatever they're called in your country, what necessary and proportionate means in your country as regards the laws of self-defense and how you explain exactly what happened in your situation. Because there are subtle differences in the way you explain things, that even though it's exactly the same situation, the way you explain it one way means you were illegal, and explaining it another way would mean people think you were legal. And that's without breaking the law or trying to manipulate the law. It's just the way it's explained. I just in case, Pete, because I know you know, but just.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's exactly right. But the thing is, as a base, if you're setting up and doing anything, just as a base, remember them 2 words before you do anything. Was the attack necessary? And you go, well, he was grabbing his wrist. Yeah, but was it necessary to do anything? Was he in danger? Right? Or could you have spoke to him and say, look, mate, do you reckon you can just let go of his wrist? All right. Was the attack proportionate to the threat given? If he was just grabbing his wrist, was it proportionate to punch him as hard as you could in the head?
Well, this is why the laws on self-defense are so vague for people out there, because every situation is completely different and you can't make a law to cover every situation. So it has to be vague.
Yeah.
Because you have to cover all of these scenarios. Because if a very, very weak, ineffective person grabs you by the wrist, that's one type of grab. If Powerhouse Pete grabs you by the wrist with full intent, that's a very different kind of grab. If Psycho freaking nut job from with a blade in his other hand, grabs you around the wrist, pulling him towards a blade that's rushing towards your face. That's another type of grab. So the grab can mean anything. So again, necessary and proportionate. Each one of those 3 scenarios that you've just been given have very different necessary and proportionate responses. And you would be covered in law for all of those, depending on what you've done, depending on your response.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But if you only learn a martial art that is an attacking system, you've got no options.
If you only learn cave their skull in as a response to a grab to the wrist, you're in for a long prison sentence.
Yeah,
right?
And this is it.
And on the flip side of that, if you only learn to say, please let go of that wrist, you or your principal could be in for 6 feet under job.
Yeah.
So there's so much that you must know, and from one end of the spectrum right the way through to the other. And that is why you've got to understand what Pete's on about. And that's why it's highly recommended that you get in touch and do a proper course with him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You mean, but the whole bit of this whole thing that we're doing now, this talk, this chat, even though, you know, I mean, it's just like mates chatting, and that's basically what it is. Is to get the biggest thing that, to me, that martial artists fail is thinking outside the box.
Well, I've noticed that over the years as well, but you know, I've seen it everywhere. You've been with me when we've been out teaching all over the place, and we've seen it ourselves, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah.
People don't think outside. And I don't blame any of them, because they start with the best intentions. Maybe their instructor started with the best intentions. I don't even blame him, because he probably started with the best possible intentions as well. And somewhere along the line, they just got drawn into doing what everybody else does. We got to do our kata, we got patterns, our forms, we got to do this, we got to do that. We'll call it self-defense because that's what the masters said it is. And we'll do it like this because that's what the masters told us to do. I don't question it because he's a higher grade and you can't question the higher grades. And my students won't question me because I'm not allowed to question him upstairs. So they're not allowed to question me. And it's so it goes on. And nobody thinks outside the box. Why am I doing it? What's it for? Is there a better way? Why are we doing it this way? Surely, you know, why am I hitting him with this arm when this one's closer? And why am I trying to grab him on this side when it's easier to punch him or whatever? All of these questions are never asked. And I don't blame the people because they're not encouraged to ask questions. Whereas we've always said, please ask as many questions as you want.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the thing is, what you got to remember is the times are different. When the martial art that you're doing was invented, was founded, the time was different. If you're doing it as an art, and this is where it comes back to what we were saying right at the beginning about egos, and you've got to be real at the reason. Why is the reason you are doing what you're doing? I mean, if the reason for you doing it is to be able to really, and I mean properly defend yourself, then you've got to be true to yourself and go, actually, is the art I'm studying gonna help, gonna do that? If not, you need to go and sort of look on YouTube and look around and see what's around. You've got, as I say, Dave Hydra. If you look at his stuff that he's doing, it's more real world London type gang type stuff. As I say, my mate who's in Iraq and the stuff that Eddie does would have been totally different system. It would have been a totally different thing because theirs is like more weapon orientated. They're more Kevlar'd up. They're more getting that person out of the way. And I mean, one of the bits that my mate was saying to me was when he was sort of in Iraq, there was a guy there and they were doing some work in the detail. And it was awareness. It was doing bits. He had to take the guy out really, really fast because of the principle. He had to make them decisions there and then and instantly. And it's that unless you train that, it's not going to work. So people need to be sort of truthful to themselves, because the worst thing they can do is not be true. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different.
Absolutely, I could not agree more, mate. But here's the thing: if you're doing a martial art because you just thoroughly enjoy going there once or twice a week, meeting up with the people, having a laugh, and go for a beer afterwards or something like that, and that's all you want from it, there is nothing wrong with that.
That is epic.
Yeah, and that's most people, really. And even the people who say, yeah, I'm learning some great self-defense while I'm in, they know deep down they're not. They know deep down that they're, and that's fine. As long as you're doing martial arts, you're all right with me. Whether you're brand new the first week or you've been doing it for 50 years, I don't care. You're all right with me.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, whether you're doing it for the fun, the enjoyment, the art, because you're good at kata, because you're good at kumite, or because you're a combat athlete, or you're doing it for proper real fighting self-defense stuff, whatever, don't care. As long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. But like you said, just be honest to yourself. And if you're an instructor, this is where I do get a problem. If you're an instructor, you should be honest to your students.
And that's it. You're selling them false information. As a martial arts instructor and as a basic martial arts instructor, unless you are like the type, you know what I mean, that is not predominantly doing a martial art, you might be doing a hard martial art that is really hard, but then you're doing the kumite and you're doing all the bits that is full contact, and you're going, well, okay, then that's a different thing. That's sort of a sport come real hard martial art. It's still not real, because obviously people are carrying a blade. They're not going to tell you. They're going to do this. They're going to be blindside you. They're trying to kill you. But you've still got to be 100%. You as a martial arts instructor, your whole goal is to make better people. Period. Yeah. That is it. Whether you've got kids martial arts. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to do kids martial arts and train them to be killers. No. I mean, that's you know what I mean? Yeah. That's the idea, is to make them better people and to learn right from wrong.
And the thing is, with martial arts, right? Let's say you've got a room with 10 students in it, from one end of the spectrum to the other. The one at this end is there just for the shits and giggles. They just love being there. They enjoy the company. They don't care if they're get to black belt or not. They just enjoy being with everybody, go for a beer afterwards and have a laugh and a joke.
Yeah.
Right away. And the guy at the other end is the most serious, hard training, that you could ever meet. But they can all be doing the same class in martial arts. That to me is the beauty of it. The guy at one end has got no real intent in what he's doing, but he's enjoying himself. Yeah. The guy at the other end, there's not that many people who will train with him, right? Because of his intent level. And that's it. But they're doing the same martial art, if you like, but it's a level of intent is completely different. And what they want from it is completely different. Yeah. But they can all be doing the same thing.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. I mean, and that's the other bit that sort of going back to a martial arts style, and it's easy to do it and use Krav Maga as a base, because you've got the genuine Krav, which there's no disputing. You know what I mean? It is brutal. It is hard. And in that situation, it is awesome. But you get the 99.999% of people that are doing Krav, but living off of the name of doing Krav. Now, the difference, I mean, we're going to players and martial science and that side of it. One of the biggest things with any system, it doesn't matter what system you do, like you just said a minute ago, without probably not even realizing that we were doing players and because you're naturally doing it, but is the intent.
Yeah.
Right. That is predominantly the biggest player that there is on the planet for a thing, to win a fight, period. Right. With intent. You get, like you're saying, you get the people in the gym doing exactly the same system that are just there, just chilling. They've got no intent. They're doing what they want to do, going through the motions because they're happy to do that. Then you've got the one that wants to break the boards and break the blocks and then be that strong. And the difference is intent.
Yep.
If you've got that intent, and with going to the stuff, a punch in the throat is a punch in the throat. You know what I mean? Don't matter what system on the planet you do, it just depends on that intent. If you're doing a punch in the throat and you're hitting it and you don't want to, that intent is not there to kill them, then it's not there. You're not going to kill them. But if you do a system that has taught you with that intent, you're going to punch them in the throat that hard, you're going to rip their spine out and you're going to snap it off, and that intent is there, then that system that you've learned is one of the most dangerous martial arts in the world.
Yeah, but that you could be learning the self-same system, but it's just the individual who's got the intent, isn't it? And
that's it.
If you can have that intent of punching them that hard in the throat that their spine snaps, right? It's up to you then to use your judgment call is yours in the situation. Because it's like we used to say, if it's Fat Uncle Bob at the barbecue being an idiot, you don't have to break his jaw, right? Yeah. A simple touch on a couple of mice and sitting back down or whatever. But if it's the psycho Terry from Tottenham trying to rip your face off, then that punch is going to be done with a lot more intent.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is as well, people think they've got intent. Right, but how many people have you seen that you go to and right, I want you to punch me in the face as hard as you can, and they go, really? Or you get them ones that go, all right, and boom, and punch you in the face because their intent's there. As soon as they've got doubt, the intent's not there. I mean, you get two equal sized people, and you go, right, punch me in the chest. Let's do it. See how much I can take. Punch me in the chest. And they punch you in the chest. One hurts you, one doesn't. Now you go, right, now focus through it, breathe. And you start adding the players in and teaching them how to learn intent. And then you go, right, now punch me. Heavy handed. Boom. And it increases by about 50% because you're starting to teach them intent.
But you also see this even in the sports stuff as well, Pete. That, you know, in the boxing stuff, I do, like all the fighters and stuff like that. Example, they're on their heavy bag. And I always say heavy bag is heavy work. So I want to see some real intent on that heavy bag. And I'll know within 20, well, maybe even not that long, 20, let's say 20, 30 seconds, I'll know what level of intent that fighter's actually really got.
Yeah.
And you'll know if that fighter's actually really got it, regardless of if they can fight or not. If they've got that intent, you can maybe make them a fighter. If they haven't got that intent, it's going to be hard work.
That's right. And that's where it comes back to where we was talking about before, about you either fight or you can't.
Yeah.
And it is because of that 100%, that intent, that switching off, that just going and not bothering and not thinking of consequences. If you're the sort of person that goes, I don't want to punch him in the face because of this might happen or that might happen, you're never going to do it.
You see, here's the thing, and this is so true. Most of us are nice people, right? Most people are nice people. Yeah. And it's a horrible thing to punch somebody in the face as hard as you can.
Yeah.
So I fully understand why the vast majority of people can't actually do it. They delay it until it's too late. They've been it.
Yeah.
Right. and which is a crying shame, but it's just the way it is. And I understand that. And people need to understand that in themselves. So if you truly know you haven't got that switch, that thing where I don't care, I will punch you in the face as hard as I can if it comes down to it. I'm not talking about every situation. I'm just saying to know in your own mind that if it really comes down to it, I will go first and I will punch you as hard as I can, and I will try to decapitate you with my punch. I'm going to hit you that hard. Then if you know you haven't got that in you, then you better make damn well sure that you've got good avoidance and awareness skills and keep yourself out of trouble.
And that's the thing. If you know, and this is the bit where we was going to about people being true to themselves. I mean, no ego gets people hurt. I mean, with self-defense, I've done quite a few now, ladies self-defense with me and Steve. We invite the police down every time we do one to come down and make sure that what we're teaching is correct. We're not teaching that they're happy with what we're teaching. We've never had any complaints of what we're doing. In fact, the police, when they come down, they were saying, well, there's no way we could teach to this level that you've done. It's, I mean, insane. But one of the bits was you'd go, right, okay, then, with ladies self-defense, if you teach them to punch or to kick, you're wasting your time. You don't know what you're talking about. The only thing that a lady can do, they're going, oh, yeah, kick him in the balls. It's a target. When the adrenaline's going, they can't move. Scratch the face, hit their eyes. That side of it, and it's not attacking, it's reaching. But
the vast majority of those self-defense courses, not yours, I know that, but the vast majority of the ones I've seen, it's a very poor, low-grade, low-quality martial arts class.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. And it doesn't work. And if you go look at the stuff, and if you know stuff for real, and you go through and you go, right, how does adrenaline work? If adrenaline kicks in, you lose fine motor skills, period. You only get gross motor skills. So you lose all targeting. If you've ever been in a situation, you get the tunnel vision. Your hearing goes. Everything just goes. You cannot pinpoint targets. If you're punching, it's a skill, period. And the easiest way you do it, if you go to someone and go, that's never done it before, and you go, right, we can do self-defense, punch my hand. So they go, okay, so they punch it, and they punch it hard. So they're going, right, okay, punch it, right, now punch it. And then watch how slow they become, because it becomes a target. And that's without adrenaline, that's without anything at all, right? Plus as well, with intent, you've got to work things to different people. When I've done the ladies stuff, I go, right, you need to poke them in the eyeball. You need to scratch their eyes out, scratch their face. Oh, I couldn't do that. I can't do that. I couldn't poke them in the eye. And every single one of them is going, ugh. And you go, right, okay, then what would you do if that person is attacking your child? I'd rip their face off. I'd just tear them and I'd poke them in the eyes and gouge them. Then think that every time. So you can do it, but you just wouldn't do it to protect yourself. You'd do it to protect your kid. Now, what would that kid do if you weren't there? How can you protect that kid? So the idea is you have to protect yourself to protect that child. Now it totally changed. That mindset now spins around.
That comes again to pointing out to people what their mindset needs to be in those situations. Because again, the vast majority of us are just nice people, and the vast majority of people will never have anything happen, thankfully. And because of that, we're all very nice, and we don't want to think about horrible things. And unfortunately, the people who are really good at horrible things are the people who tend to try and do horrible things all the time.
Yeah.
And so the bad people get pretty good at being bad. And the good people don't get very good at being bad because they're not trying to be bad.
No, that's right.
It's a horrible truth. And what people don't like to hear is these horrible truths. They think that if they do martial arts, they'll be able to protect themselves and they'll be fine. No, it's all up here. It's all your, like we keep saying, it's the intent that you have. You might have all the skills in the world and look aesthetically look amazing, do the best kicks, the best punches, but if you haven't got the right mindset, you'll never be able to do it anyway.
No, and this is the thing, and it's going through. And if they don't, in this country, because it's full of snowflakes and all the bullshit stuff, you can't do stuff for real. You can't train for real because people complain, right? There's a guy that I follow on Facebook. On Facebook, on YouTube. Bloke Idan. He's Israeli, but he lives in South Africa. He's got his own system, but he trains real, and I mean real. He does a ladies' self-defense course, and he trains ladies anti-rape and all of this. But it's South Africa, so it's completely different. He used his training partner, who's this young guy, to pretend that she was the woman. He was the woman, right? Yeah. So there's Idan going, and he's going, like, they're doing a scenario in a bar. So they're going, oh, yeah, how you doing? Just chatting away nicely. Oh, nice to meet you. Do you want to buy you a drink? No, I don't want a drink. And trying to back away from him. So he's going, look, I'll buy you a drink. He's acting a bit pissed, coming through. And the next thing he's going, oh, yeah, and he's closer to him and pretending to say it's a girl. And then all of a sudden he goes, grabs her hair, and he's going, oh, give me a kiss like this. And he's like wrestling with her. The next thing you know, he's on the floor, and he's dead weights on the floor. But he's pissed. So he falls on her. So he doesn't just go, oh, put her down. He falls on her. So he's on top of him, and he's going, oh, yeah, he's in her. And then the next thing, you see him trying to unbutton his trousers, and he's unbuttoning his trousers while he's on top, and he's going this. And he's doing it for real. And he's saying, unless you train like that, how are you going to react to something in that situation? You can't.
It's that we've always done in all of our training. Your training's got to replicate what you're training it for.
And that's right.
And it's that simple. And you've got to make your training as close to what you're training it for as you can, with safety parameters in mind, of course. You can't be risking getting broken bones and smashed up faces every time. But there's got to be an element of risk there that gets you scared enough to really not to what's the word? To be scared enough that you really don't want to do this session today.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times when we did especially our Sunday morning sessions, when we were sat outside having a cup of tea before it started, so that when people were sat on that bench, right, and people, you could see them like, and you just knew that they were working themselves up to get ready to go and train with us, because it was, it was going to be one of those days. You've locked up, Pete. I don't know if you're still there now. Oh.
Yeah, I'm still here, mate. I'm here.
I mean, you used to see people like almost hyperventilating, getting ready for it, and especially when you knew, like when people knew like Eddie was coming or something like that, and you knew it was going to be a tough one, And I still remember the knuckle duster day when like Kelly was the first one to volunteer to have Eddie coming at him with knuckle dusters on. So that,
oh, mate, that was insane. That was insane. I mean, Kelly now still talks about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that day, I mean, it was one of those ones. It was like, we showing what was going to happen. Volunteer, Kelly, put his hand. You don't have to, Steve. We know you. No, I'll go. Steve, you don't have to do it. We know you. We know you can do it. I'll do it. Steve, are you sure?
Yeah. And that's the thing. But it was, I mean, like, that was the thing with the soft block. You know what I mean? Where he didn't know he'd got the knuckle duster with like these spikes sticking out the end of it and all of that. And he goes, right, we're doing the soft block. Now, 45 degrees, just relax as you're doing it, come up and just flinch. All of a sudden, there was that, I'm going to get a cup of tea. So it's that false sense of security as well, lull him in. And he comes back in with his hand behind his back, swings that thing, and he's like, shit, boom. And Eddie went, for the rest of your life, you'll know that technique works.
Yeah.
And you're like, can't follow it.
Still to this day, you know.
Yeah.
And well, Kelly can dine out on that day for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
You know? And we'll never forget it, and Steve will never forget it.
No, and it just absolutely reinforced everything that you go.
Yeah.
But again, it's that bit where unless you try it, you don't know. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But now Steve is 100% sure if he wants to do the soft block, they ain't eating him.
No, and this is the thing. I mean, that's the bit, but it's the same bit as well where you see people and you go in the street, oh yeah, this inside outside block or these type of stuff, and you go, well, they won't work. Why won't they work? In the right situation, they'll work. But
everything works,
here,
everything doesn't work.
yeah, and that's the thing. Again, it's that intent. It's that whole bit. It's the players. It's the players.
Remember when Cheap Shot Jez, hit that guy on spleen 6 through the shin guards as well.
Yeah.
How his leg come up, how he dropped like a sack of spuds, and how his leg come up. We were watching it grow. We were watching it grow in reception at my gym. Remember?
Yeah.
It looked like an alien coming out of his leg.
Well, I had that same thing with Jez with his cheap shot. But I was standing there and he jumps on my back. I turned, spun him round. As I spun him round, I've grabbed the back of his leg, punched him 5 times in inner gate on spleen 6, and he's going boom, hard, all in like split second. As he fell over, his leg gave way, dropped down and hit him on the nose with my elbow. But once you're doing it, and he couldn't wear socks for about 6 months. He couldn't wear socks. It was
because of pain on the inside.
Yeah, it was just, he said it went up like an egg, and he said he couldn't even bear anything touching the hairs on it. But you know what I mean, it's one of them. It was fun. He cheap shot. It was I mean, he'd do anything for a cheap shot.
Oh, I mean, for those who don't know, we'd be training on a Sunday morning. It was hard stuff that we were doing, and we'd be training. Let's say we're drilling a technique just so we can all drill it. So we might be paired up in a row, just normal training. But once we're paired up, Jez would break off from his pair and just jump on anybody who wasn't keeping a 360 and start smashing them in. So you got to keep a 360. Wallop. Hence the name Cheap Shot. Or he just walk past you and slap you on the back of the head or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
He's an absolute diamond. I remember in Cyprus, right? Me and just gone to Woolies, I think it was, and we're at the top of the stairs to come down there. He said to me, after you, just go first. He just whacked the back of me head, Cheap Shot. He goes, oh, that's from Kelly and from Pete. Oh, what? He like smashed me down the stairs.
We actually told him to whack you on Gallbladder 20, but
he's just missed it. For some reason, I felt something behind me. I just sort of went like, and he just caught me wrong, or right. Still knocked me all the way down the stairs. But for people who don't know, that's Cheap Shot Jez.
Yeah.
But that's what our training used to be like. And when you got people like that around, and you're forever, keeping an eye out, and know if you're going to get it, and the people you're training with as well, all right, they're safe, but they're really, really making you work like hell. I mean, if you got through on someone, you don't have to carry on pummeling. You're going to leave them, you're going to help them, but it was hard training. Not many, but people didn't come back, did they? A lot of the supposed tough guys.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it was all right. You had quite a lot of students, and then brought Eddie into the mix, and then basically they all disappeared.
They stayed during the week, but they wouldn't come on a Sunday morning. It was one of the other good guys that come on board, and he was absolutely brilliant, train hard and do all the stuff, and the knowledge is incredible. Tony Bailey. I mean, Tony's just insane. I mean, his knowledge is incredible, and he's like training, and he's done the doors for X amount of years, and
I mean, he's just such a nice guy, but
great
hard.
person, great martial artist, tough as nails. And yeah,
Oh,
and
mate,
the same with Johnny Andrews as well.
Oh yeah, John.
Yeah,
just but it's all that old school group. It just
yeah.
worked. It was just an awesome time. I mean, it was an awesome time to do martial arts.
Yeah, but people just can't believe how much fun we used to have back. And the funny thing is that back then everybody thought we just stood around pressing each other on points just to see if they worked or not. Because we were the pressure point guys who obviously don't train hard because they only do pressure points. Meanwhile, we're doing all sorts. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, you know what I mean? It's like doing the waveform and grabbing people and whipping them over and just trying different things. I mean, where Eddie brought that
waveform throw what you did through the mats.
Yeah, that's it. And they can't.
Again, Kelly, the first one to volunteer.
Yeah. And he looked like a Dalmatian every single week. He looked like a Dalmatian, didn't he? He was like white and black all over him. But
you gotta give him credit, Steve. He was always the first to put in every single time. Let me go. I want to feel that. I want to know what it's like every single time. And tough as old boots. Tough as old boots.
And his knowledge is incredible as well.
Yeah,
I mean, his martial knowledge.
Tough as old boots. Yeah, because people see Steve on a video or something like that getting a well up, so they think, oh, he fell over there. He can't be that hard, and then they partner up with him somewhere, and they go, he don't move.
No, and that's the thing as well with him. I mean, it's the same sort of Tony Bailey, the same with us, how we were doing it, Steve, John Andrews. If it doesn't work, you say it doesn't work. It's not nasty or ego, but it's about improving. And that is... Oh, that was, you know what I mean? He was insane. He was a big lad. I mean, he was a hard lad. But then again, he went on to be sort of decent fighter. I mean, been there, seen it, done it.
Fought Joshua.
Yeah, that's it.
Sparring partner with Tyson Fury. You get a big shout out from Tyson Fury for being the only person who would actually stand up to sparring with him and that would turn up. So Paul's as tough as nails as well.
And a lovely, lovely bloke.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was those days. I don't think. Well, obviously, can't come back. We're too old to do that now. But those sort of days, you don't see it. Like you say, you don't see it around anymore. And it's just that intensity that we all had. I think is the key. We talk about intensity and everything. But we had intensity in our training. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. And we'd laugh and joke before and after training, and sometimes in the middle because it was funny how much it hurt. It used to make us laugh sometimes. The pain, Well, I remember when who was it? You and Johnny Andrews. You held me. You got me down. You were holding me down and taking turns hurting me whilst I'm locked up on the floor. Do you remember that? I can't remember where it was. Can't remember where it was.
God, mate, there's so many.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where you're in so much pain, you're cracking up laughing.
Yeah, and that's it. But that's the thing that I've noticed with the DSI stuff, with the players. You get people and you go to seminars and people are in so much pain. But the easiest way to explain it is jackass pain. Because it hurts that much, you don't know why it hurts, so you laugh. Yeah. But the pain is hideous.
Yeah, and it's instantly off as well. You let it go, it's gone.
Yeah, that's it. There's
instant off. No residual effect.
Because the whole thing was to put maximum pain in, and then the next time we did it, try and put more pain in with little effort.
Yeah.
With less effort, and then put more pain in with less effort. And to get to so that it looks like you're doing nothing, but they're dropping.
Yeah, exactly. which is why people thought we just stood around doing nothing.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it. But you know what I mean? And that's the thing. But again, it's that ego where people won't try things, to have a go at things, to do stuff. I mean, the knowledge base, without, you know what I mean, saying like trying to big up yourself and egos and all that sort of bollocks, because I got no ego, I don't give a shit. But the knowledge base that we've got through the DSI to put stuff into other people's martial arts, mate, is insane. And the more and more you see martial artists and you see martial arts and other like stuff. I mean, I went over, typical example, I went over to Northern Ireland and I did a seminar over there at a Shotokan club. And these people, 50% were doormen, 50% were martial artists, right? At the end of it, I did I think it was about 3 hours, only on the basic of basic DSI principles and the stuff that we used to do all the time at a basic level.
Yeah.
Well, mate, guys, no, he's like the main instructor over in Northern Ireland, right? And as you can imagine, the Leeds Dorman, it's an old school, hard place. It's down near Omagh, so it's like a hard area. Yeah. These guys, they were like squealing like little babies. That Tom Brennan, who's the head guy there, he was like, he's Mark, one of my mates, he was like sending him pictures of all these bruises that he'd got. And he was like, this is insane. When is he coming back? We want to do stuff. We want to learn more of this. We want to do stuff. Because they had been used to going, boom, boom, old school. And I'm just going, tap, prod, poke, ding. And they're squealing like little kids. It's like insane. But they're laughing while they're doing it.
Yeah.
There's no...
It's a great feeling when you have that and you see the light bulbs coming on with people where they're beginning to understand what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
You know, if they take on board the information, how much better they're going to get. And when you see that light bulb moment, it's a great feeling. And they, well, you know, when they think, I'm really able to do a lot more now. I can hit harder. I'm hurting, and they have so much fun while they're doing it. You know, and that to me is what's great about the martial arts and the sort of teaching that we do, and that people can have a load of fun while they're doing it. Yes, it is serious because it's so dangerous. But having said that, you have a heck of a lot of fun while you're doing it.
And that's the thing, mate. And it is the next, to me, it's the next level of martial arts. I mean, you think what's the biggest phrase or biggest saying when we've been to seminars that people have had, and I've had it since you've moved away and I've been doing seminars here and all that, is what the hell have I been doing martial arts for this long? It's just screwed my martial arts. And then I say to them, did you enjoy what you were doing? Yes. Then it's not a waste because that's brought you to this point. If you weren't doing that, you wouldn't be here now. Exactly. Now start researching, start learning, start questioning. You're at a point now where you're ready.
Yes, and that's it. It's that point where people are ready for more, because maybe only a day before they weren't ready, or the week before, or the year before, or whatever, they weren't ready. And maybe in another 2 or 3 weeks, it was too late. They've already given up. It's just, if you're meant to be there, you're meant to be there. I'm a great believer in that. And people out there, if you're not sure about your martial arts, you're thinking to yourself, why am I doing it? What's this for? I was told I would know more by this time, or whatever. You're getting any of those feelings, just get in touch with us and we'll point you in the right direction. You know, it's that simple. Right.
And the thing is, we're not saying stop what you're doing.
No.
Keep doing your martial art. Keep doing that. But start looking, why is my arm turned this way? Why is it there? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why is this chop? Why is that chop? can I aim that? What target am I aiming for when I'm doing this chop? When I'm doing that, what am I doing? I mean, I did a 6-week course leading up, well, British Transport Police, and I do 6-week, where we gone? Back in. Did a 5-week sitting watching what they do training, and then the last week was they put a day on, and I trained the 12 top British Transport Police from around the 6 regions, 2 from each region, and we did a day training playing about. But you see, the difference is as well with the DSI stuff, you're not teaching a syllabus. What you're doing is teaching enhancements to their system. So you're not going, oh, what you've learned for the last 30 years is bollocks. You're going, well, if you just turn your hand a little bit more, or you do this arm bar and you're touching that point rather than, and you cut this way, you're going to get this effect. And a lot of the British Transport Police, because it's sort of privately funded, a lot of it as well, they're not 100% government because it's funded by the transport industry. You get a lot of sort of ex-Marines, ex-paras there, sort of ex-military people that are there, as well as civilians that have gone in and stuff. One of them, he was about 6'6". When the next day when we was talking, all lovely people, he was supposed to have been on duty. He had to call in sick because he was green. After doing the points and playing about all day, and he said, oh, it's that night, I thought, I'm going to get in the bath. He got in the bath and he had to get his missus to try and drag him out the bath because he couldn't have the energy to lift himself out of the bath.
I've heard those stories so many times over the years, mate. I know exactly what you mean.
You're like, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's just good fun.
Yeah.
It's just good fun.
And everybody enjoys it. You got to imagine, and you've got to be something wrong with you to enjoy so much the amount of pain that you get when you understand how things really work.
Yeah.
You know,
but it will change their martial arts by doing it. I mean, one of the biggest things is to get through, sort of get in contact with us, go through the Dragon Society International, get hold of Rick, get hold of Tom. You know what I mean? Try and get hold of the
best way, because we're coming up towards the end of the broadcast now, Pete. So how can people get in touch with you? Right. You're in England, so anybody England or near England even or whatever, you've got to get in touch with Pete. I'm telling you now, he's a great guy, really knows what he's doing, knows so many people in England, like Kelly as well, who can help you out, like Johnny Andrews as well can help you out. All these sort of people are over there. Well, Pete, how can they get hold of you?
They go through the Immortal 365 website, get me on Facebook, go through that, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? I'm always on Martial Arts Illustrated or Martial Arts Show, the Kaizen as well. I'm usually there. So any of these sort of shows or anything.
And
but
if you can't get through that, get hold of me and I'll put you in touch.
Facebook and just go through.
Yeah,
that's it.
And if they can't
get through the DSI with the Dragon Society.
Yeah, no worries. Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll come back on another time.
Yep, 100%, mate. Definitely.
Great stuff. We've just got to play this goodbye jingle. Thanks, Pete.
All right, mate. See you later.
Thanks for listening, guys and gals. Remember to tell everyone to join in next time to the Old Fat Coach.